Hi, I'm Rochelle Weir, and I'm joined by Phil Slade, and we're the co-founders of Decider, the company behind Switch for Schools. So in this session, we wanted to give you a bit of an overview of what the Switch for Schools program is, how it works, and how you can lean in to support your student.
Yeah, and as parents ourselves, we know that it can be really important with a lot of these programs that we have a more community approach. So it's not just about what the teachers are doing, what the kids are doing, but if we can all work together, we can all improve our emotional intelligence and start to address some of the mental health and well-being things in our community. But what is Switch for Schools? Well, Switch for Schools was something that that has been developed out of the research. And in 2009, Griffith University did a study led by one of my old supervisors when I went through my psychological training, Arthur Poropat. And they were looking at personality and the impact of different personality on academic outcomes. And they found, almost by accident, that understanding and managing emotions was actually the most significant predictor of academic success, more important than IQ and more important than any personality factors. What's really interesting on this slide is at the bottom there, you'll see emotional stability was not very predictive at all and didn't matter. So you can be all over the shop emotionally, but if you understand how to manage and understand the emotions that are inside of you, you will do better at school academically. This study was then repeated 10 years later, different cohort of people, different researchers, and the results replicated themselves again. So this just shows you how robust some of this research is. Over in the States, in the University of Washington, they looked at emotional intelligence and looking at understanding and managing emotions and the impact that it had on other things, not just academic results, but on the learning environment, on their social cognitive skills, and also wanted to really make sure that it did actually track the mental health issues like sadness, depression, anxiety, and withdrawal, and saw a noticeable decrease in those things. So if this starts to prove the link between emotional intelligence and understanding and managing emotions, and when you do that better, you're more likely to avoid negative mental health outcomes, and significantly so, which is what this research starts to point out. So how does it work?
So the Switch for Schools program is a digital solution. So it's an app that we use in the classroom. So the students work with their teacher to provide information on how they're feeling. So they're talking about what that feeling is, how tired they are, and how intense their feelings are. This provides an overview for the teachers so they can start to see what that kind of emotional vibe is in the classroom, and they can adjust how they're interacting as a class and the activities that they do in terms of teaching their curriculum for the day with that insight. So knowing that you've got a really hyperactive team that's highly energized maybe after lunch might not be the best time to do quiet activities. So they can do things, so these things called switches, in order to help teach children how to self-regulate those emotions. And the teacher will support those children to build that capability either individually or as a group. All of this information is then aggregated and provided to the administrators, so the principals, so they can monitor health and wellbeing at a school level. And we do this in a way that protects the identity of the students, because we want to keep the trusted circle between the student and the teacher really sacred. We know that that relationship is so important to make sure that the data that the student's providing, we're asking them to open up and be honest about their feelings. So we need to make sure that they feel psychologically safe to do that.
Yeah. So that's what's happening at school, but what can happen at home? Well, a lot of what we're doing with the check-in and with the switches is all based around the emotion wheel. And this emotion wheel you can see here looks at 6 big emotions. And there's a little book that's coming out called The Little Book of Big Emotions, which you'll be able to have access to, that walks through this. But the big emotions are happy, excited, anxious, scared, sad, and angry. But sometimes it's not enough to say, I'm feeling angry, because that doesn't give you a lot of information, right? You really need to know how angry. To be able to say I'm annoyed, which means a little bit angry, or I'm furious, which means very angry, makes a big difference. Because if someone's in that sort of the center of that emotion wheel circle, so if they're ecstatic, overwhelmed, furious, in anguish, terrified, or hyperactive, they're very unlikely to be in a headspace that's able to be in control of their own emotions, or be in a space where they're ready to learn or be curious or communicate with other people in a two-way sort of arrangement. So what this is doing is saying, look, if you're ecstatic, it's great that you're happy, but maybe let's turn it down from ecstatic to be about cheerful or optimistic. And how do we lever down And I think this is the crucial, well, this is the nub of this way this emotion wheel works. A, get some language that you share that looks at intensity, and then B, look at how you scale up and scale, or dial it up and dial it down, as we sort of say. So in this anxious, if someone's panicked or if they're overwhelmed, you know what that feeling is like, and you're very rare, you're not going to be in a good headspace for learning or communicating. And often we just need to dial it back to apprehensive or concerned, because anxiety isn't bad in itself. It's not bad to be apprehensive. If you're coming up to an exam or you've got a big event that's happening, a little bit of anxiety is good. It keeps you vigilant, right? So knowing how to dial it back so that you don't slip over into panic or overwhelmed, which sort of blinds you to other people's, is really, really helpful. With the app that the kids have got, you can get onto that app, tap the emotion wheel, and you can see a whole bunch of really great switches there. What switches are, if they're feeling angry, then there's a whole lot of little tools and tricks to help, mitigate or release the energy of that anger to get you back into control. And these are switches that switch you out of your reactive state into your proactive state. And we've got 6 to 7 switches for each of these emotions in the app. And there's a whole bunch of activities in there. There's secrets for sleep to help the kids be able to sleep better, activities that they can do to rest their mind if they're highly anxious or quite sad. But there's even other activities to get them energized and energize them up when they're feeling not that great. And some funny memes as well, which we all have a good laugh every now and then, right?
Totally.
So that's the Switch for Schools thing. As parents, we're really excited about it. We've seen the impact it's having on people's lives all around the world. We're super excited to have you on the journey with us. Don't be a stranger. Reach out. If you've got any questions or queries, just email us at support@switchforschools.com.au, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks.